Hi guys, welcome. We are going to again work in Scott Kelby's book, the Adobe Photoshop CC book for digital photographers. It's the 2014 release, and we are going to work on split toning, which is on page 154. Split toning is a traditional darkroom special effect where you apply one tint to the highlights and one tint to your photo shadow areas. And then you can control the saturation of each tint and balance between the two. They can be, these effects, according to Kelby, and I am in agreement with him, can be applied to both color and black and white. But you'll probably see it more often applied to a black and white image. So we are going to convert the photo that we're going to work on to black and white first, and then apply the split tone effect. So let's open the split tone image of Kelby's. We're going to open in Camera Raw. And I'm going to go see what's the matter with my dogs, and I'll be right back. All right, geez, I didn't realize, I hope you haven't been sitting there long, I didn't realize that we were already recording again. So I'm going to do a control click again, open in Camera Raw. And then we're going to start by converting our full color image to black and white. We're going to do that by clicking on the HSL grayscale icon, which is this one. And then at the top of the panel, we are going to turn on the convert to grayscale checkbox. And then the only adjustments that Kelby made in the basic panel before he turned on the checkbox were to increase the exposure a little bit and to reduce the highlights they were clipping, which I didn't do any of that, so we'll see the impact of that. So now we're going to click on the split toning icon, the fifth icon from the left. And at this point, we are going to drag, dragging either the highlights or the shadows. Hue slider does absolutely nothing because by default, the saturation sliders are set to 0, which they are. So we're going to do ourselves a favor and drag the highlight saturation slider over to around 25. So what's saturation? So at least you can see what it looks like while you're dragging the hue slider. All right, so as soon as you do this, you'll see the default tint color for the hue, which is rather pinkish, and you'll see that on my screen. To temporarily see the hues at their full 100% saturation, we can press and hold the Option and then click and drag a hue slider. It helps when picking your colors. So Option if you are on a Mac, PC if you're Alt if you're on a PC. And then we can click and drag a hue slider. Ooh. And then again, helps when picking your colors. So if you don't feel like taking my advice and increasing the saturation like he mentioned at the end of step 2, this is an alternative. Okay. All right, now that you can see what's going on, we're going to click and drag the highlights hue slider until you see a highlight hue that you like. All right, I'm just going to keep going until I find a highlight that I like. And of course, okay, we're going to try that one. For this image, he's using a hue setting of 50. I've got mine at 191. And he also increased the highlight saturation amount to around 50 to make the tint a bit heavier. So if you want to do that, we can again go to the highlight saturation amount and make that, oh, that's kind of interesting. Okay, around 50. All right, then we're going to add a tint to the shadows. He's got a teal tint selected. So It's a fairly popular split tone combination, and we're going to do that by dragging the shadow saturation slider to 40. Ooh. And then we're going to drag the hues, shadows hue slider to 215. I'm not going to do that at 215, but I am going to just kind of check it out here and see what, oh, and maybe I will do it at 215, but holy moly, it's getting awfully blue. Let's go all the way over here and see what's the deal. All right, I'm not really crazy about any of those, and honestly I like his choices better, but since I've already started down this path, I'm going to leave it here. So we drug the shadows hue slider over to 215. Actually, I only drug mine over to 48. I really feel like this is way too blue, and I probably would go back then and drag the highlight shadow a little bit differently there. Yeah, definitely not that on that end. Well, as we can see, we could play with this forever. So I'm going to move on. There's one more control, a balance slider, which lets you control whether your split tone favors your highlight or your shadow color. So again, we're going to look for the balance slider, and if you drag left and then back right, you'll instantly see what the slider does. We're going to drag left. Oh, yeah, that's better, but it's still kind of blue. And then we're going to go back to the right. And again, that determines which of those colors, your highlights or your shadows color, your overall image is going to favor. All right, and he drug it to about +10. I did not do that. I drug it all the way down to -59, 60. But again, the process is the important part. You can see the split tone now has more yellow in his. Mine has a little bit more blue in mine. If you do find a split toning combination you like, I definitely jump to page 159 to find out how to turn that into a one-click preset. And that's again on page 159, but we're not going to do that right at this moment. So that's it for the split toning. Hopefully you guys will be able to follow that along, and let me know if you have any questions or if you have need for an additional demo. I'm going to do the duotone one as well, and then I'm going to leave the rest of the exercises up to you to upload as homework assignments. All right, see you in a few.